Now, in this example, we're approaching to make a parallel park. So we're approaching from the right side, and the DMV examiner or the driving instructor asks you to stop next to the car ahead and parallel park. Okay, so you start to signal right and begin to slow down. So the people behind you knows that you're about to stop. That's why you're signaling and slowing down way in advance. You also slow down to make sure that you do not get so close to the car that you might risk hitting the mirrors together or even hitting the car, which is a potential problem as well, which I've had to settle with some students. Now, as you approach, you're typically going to be stopping normally. Once again, this video is about how to fix your parallel park, not how to park necessarily. What happens with some students when they're stopping to parallel park, they approach to parallel park, but when they stop like this. In other words, they stop crooked, and they're not aware that they have stopped crooked. In other words, your angle to parallel park has already begun, which means you have to turn less in this particular case to get the parallel park done. But they're looking over here so much, or looking at the curb, they don't notice that they're far from the other vehicle, and in fact that they're crooked. This is normal in terms of doing it wrong on the approach. And when the person is unsure and they get next to the car and they start adjusting the steering wheel, they often end up like this. So this is just the opposite. This is a result of over-adjusting the steering wheel, which is not good. When you have difficulty stopping properly, your parallel park almost always does not work correctly. Because parallel park requires judgment. And if you have difficulty stopping, which is a judgment situation as well, in terms of what straight is, then when you back up, the judgment required to get it done correctly will also be off. So if you have difficulty parallel parking, please just practice stopping next to the vehicle once, twice, 3, 4, 5 times, as many times as necessary, so that you can stop parallel with the vehicle. This is the parallel of parallel park. Now, let me give you the other examples one more time so you can see the differences here. If you find yourself stopping like this when you approach the parallel park, you need to practice that more. Do not even begin to parallel park. If you approach and you find yourself stopping like this, do not begin to parallel park. You need more practice in stopping straight next to the vehicle. This is the beginning of your problem regarding how to parallel park. Once you have that down, another problem arises, and let's show you that. Another problem arises where the person often backs up too far. So if you back up like this, at this point you can no longer see the curb. So if you look in your mirror here, you're not going to see the curb. That means you must not continue backing up. You must stop. Do not rely on being lucky. You just need to stop. You're going to hit the curb. Your front bumper is way behind the other person's rear bumper. Your mirror is like 3, 4, 5 feet behind. Can't see the curb in the mirror when you look backwards. You're going to hit the curb. The solution is to simply move forward just a little bit. That's it. Put the car in reverse, turn left and back up. That's the solution for that situation. Another situation arises where the person backs up and they're misjudging the situation and they begin their parallel park regarding turning the wheel. At first you turn the wheel right and then left. So when they're turning the wheel left, they stop too early. So here you're much too far from the curb. It might be a 45-degree angle. However, it's just too far from the curb to even consider turning left. Now, in this example here, let's make these example 1, 2, 3. Now, in this example, if you were to turn left at this point, there's a risk of hitting the bumpers together. And if you don't hit the bumpers together, when you finish parallel parking, you're going to be far out into the street. You will not be anywhere close to the curb. In this example, you will hit whatever trees behind you, a pole, curb, fire hydrant. You're going to hit that situation. So you just need to simply stop. This case you can fix, and I've shown you how to fix this before regarding the session on parallel parking prior to this one. And this is perfectly normal. If you stop like this and begin like this as normal, whether it's halfway back or fully mirror to mirror or halfway back, that's fine. But this is wrong, and this approach is wrong too, because you begun the parallel park too early. Now, what about the situation where you parallel park and you're between the cars and you get stuck? Okay, let's take a look at what happens when you get stuck. So here we are parallel parking. Some students get stuck and they can't go forward or backward to get the park done, and they panic. So you back up, but when you turn the wheel left, it'll be too late. So here you are. You're backing up. You can feel the curb because you're backed up so far that the tire is now touching the curb, the back tire on the right side of the car. If you back up, you know you're going to run over the curb. You also can't turn right and go behind the car. And when you pull forward, no matter what you do, when you pull forward, you're still too close to the curb as you pull forward. This is called stuck. Can't back up, can't pull forward and actually get the adjustment done, and you can't turn and go behind the car. In this example, you'll need to start over. And this means that when you are like this, behind the other car, you will have to begin from the beginning again. So you need to pull around the vehicle and try to approach wide, because when you turn right, sometimes you may overcorrect and end up too close to the vehicle. So go wide slightly and begin from the start one more time. It's more difficult to start from the beginning, but if you do not start from the beginning, this becomes dangerous. You can damage your car on the curb, and you definitely can hit this vehicle regarding pulling forward. And if you feel that way, you need to start over again. Nothing wrong with starting over again. You can adjust your parallel park on the road test, but it doesn't matter that it's a road test or not a road test. You want to make sure you do not damage the vehicle, your vehicle, or somebody else's. It does not matter. It's about responsibility. So in this case, you'll need to start over. So in example 1 here, it's about the setup. Example 2, in terms of when to stop, in terms of how close you get to the curb when you back up. And example 3, starting too early and turning and end up far from the curb. And example 4, let's call this 4, is basically you're backed up, but you're close to the curb, close to the car, because you turned the wheel too early when you turned left to go into the parking spot, and essentially you're stuck. You'll have to start over. I hope I covered that in detail enough. If it is not the case, then you can also let me know in the comments that you want to see another example of that, and I'll make another video to satisfy those needs.